the way that the tabs are shaped. Um, because the Game Boy Advance batteries are typically placed on top of that little like I don't know if it's the RAM or if it's um something, just one of the chips on there in particular. What it does is it's raised, so you basically have to come in and kind of bend these solder tabs. You have to kind of bend them in a way that it makes contact with the actual board. Um, these are really really easy. The original Game Boy games are probably the easiest to work with. Um, you don't have to worry about bending any of the tabs or anything. It works really really well. Do you have the? There it is. Okay, so that's right here. Alrighty, so this is a Japanese copy of Red. Unfortunately, our Seth here had started a save state on this game. Played for about 2 hours, woke up, and his save file was gone, and that's very common with games that are this old. Uh, this game does have its original batteries, so it does make sense that it would be dead, considering this game is now 25, about almost 25 years old.
Yeah,
This, yeah,
96.
yeah, yeah, this one is act. This is what. Yeah, it's longer than that. This battery was installed on in February of 1996. This is an old battery, guys. So this is very very common thing that you're gonna have to deal with. But in my opinion, it's kind of worth it. It's kind of worth using. Um, getting getting these older games, even if they have the dead battery, and just swapping them out because it is just such an easy job to do. Um, Alrighty. This is the last Game Boy cartridge that we're going to be removing batteries from. Once we're done with this, we're going to be moving on to actually placing the batteries in. Boom. Okay. We're just gonna let's get a
Right,
right there.
right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the keys to getting these off successfully is being able to apply heat to the solder joint while also being able to apply some sort of pressure to pull the battery off at the same time. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Almost. Oh,
Wow,
there
that
we
was
go.
a pretty strong joint for that one.
Yeah. Oh, it's finger down, please, on the corner.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Cool.
Alrighty, and there is a little bit of
Extra what? Extra solder on
yeah,
there.
looks like some extra solder.
Okay.
Even looks like there might be a little fucking bubble right there. Looks like
Yeah.
yeah, looks like whenever this was soldered to begin with, it looks like the factory soldering job on this wasn't that good. There's definitely like a piece of solder outside of the soldering there's the little solder pad.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like there's a little bit of like a little bubble of solder that made its way onto the actual PCB. So we are gonna go ahead and get that removed. Well, we definitely want to get some generous flux on here because where we're going to be placing the heat is a little bit suspect. Yeah, okay, let's get this done. Yeah, it's a little odd. Yeah, it looks like this yeah, it looks like the factory soldering job on this wasn't done too well. So we're gonna go ahead and start with about there. Yep. Yep, that was solder.
Okay.
That was solder. It was a little misplaced solder. It looks like that was a factory mistake. But we went ahead and we removed it. Keep in mind that you can be a little generous with the heat on these things because the process of making these is with really, really high heat. I'm going to need a finger down.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. I almost got you.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, that heat was even starting to go through the glove, guys. So again, you could see how hard it is to work with this mesh if you don't have a glove on. That would have definitely burned me if I wasn't wearing a glove. So
Because what are the materials? It's primarily minerals and then what, like high resin plastic?
yeah, well it's silicone actually.
Silica, yeah.
Yeah, it's a silicone chip is
Okay.
what these are typically made with. And then you're gonna have just like a lot of different types of metals
Yeah.
and whatnot. Okay.
Cool.
Alrighty, now we gotta just give this one a nice cleaning. We, like I said, we were pretty generous with the flux on this one, so we're gonna go ahead and use a lot of isopropyl. One thing that you guys could do as well, you doesn't need to be Q-tips necessarily that you work with this. I have found that a soft bristle toothbrush works exceptionally well on this stuff. I'll actually go ahead and kind of showcase that for you guys because this does have quite a bit of flux on it. So you can easily just
Obviously, it goes for everything, especially if you're doing the interior of your console, like an NES or a Super NES. It's very helpful to get into the grooves. Combo of the toothbrush and maybe some dust off really can be your best friend when you start getting into your console cleaning.
Yeah, in my experience and from a lot of videos that I've watched, the toothbrush is extremely useful. We're just gonna go ahead.
Because what was the one that we were looking at where they were dunking it in a hydrogen peroxide solution?
Oh, okay. So
the
the hydrogen peroxide solution.
shell.
Yeah. So if you have any kind of plastics on your console, your Game Boy, if you have an old Game Boy, um, DMG, the original Game Boy, those are really prone to yellowing. Particularly if the console is being being kept in a household that has people who smoke indoors. That's gonna cause yellowing. The PlayStation 1 is a perfect example of a console that yellows quite a bit. Um, but the yellowing can be removed with hydrogen peroxide and UV lights. So if you go ahead and leave the console completely submerged in hydrogen peroxide, and then you use UV lights You can buy just like a string of UV lights on Amazon. I've seen them going for about, $15 to $20. And you can leave it overnight. Just leave it overnight with the light shining down. I've seen some videos where they will line the inside of a styrofoam cooler with aluminum foil, and then the lid of the cooler, they'll string the UV lights across the top, and you just leave it overnight. And the combination of the hydrogen peroxide and the UV lighting, it does a very, very good job of removing all the yellowing, and it will make your plastics look brand spanking new. So if you're looking into doing something like that, any kind of restoration, if you find any old consoles yellowing and you're just like, oh no, it's all yellow, I don't want to buy this. Like, it's easily repairable. Alrighty, folks. So now that we've got all of the Game Boy cartridges removed of their batteries, we're gonna start going into actually swapping them out. So these are the dead ones.
Perfect.